You're talking about raising the bar each election cycle. So let's think back to past presidential cycles. Obviously, in 2020, we were in the thick of the COVID pandemic. So maybe not looking at that one, but we can also look at 2016 as well. Do you think the bar has been raised? We're polling locations, listening and learning here, and implementing new things for voters with disabilities to make those polling places more accessible.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, we've not had that level of awareness that needs to be there. Um, a lot of times I have witnessed in many states that I've lived in polling places that are completely inaccessible, but year after year, that's the polling place. And sometimes they're not physically accessible. Sometimes they're not accessible because of transportation issues. But other times they're not accessible because people with disabilities can't always stand in line and wait for long periods of time. Some of these folks have medical issues that prevent them from standing for a long period of time. Some can't be waiting for longer than an hour or so because they have to be in a position where they can get to a restroom or on a frequent basis. So we need to be thinking about this at a higher level. And to answer your question, no, I don't think that disability um, access to the polls has gotten the attention it needs from those. I think there's been some states that have been proactive, but I think that there's more that can be done.
And as we've seen a rise in mail-in voting, you said that there have been difficulties with that because of potential misinformation out there when it comes to mail-in ballots. What other roadblocks or hurdles are there when it comes to mail-in ballots for voters with disabilities?
Well, everything from them, people with disabilities understanding how they can register and obtain a absentee or a mail-in ballot. Some states are very, and some localities are very good at having fully accessible websites that really carefully explain how you can get access to those things. I think that in some jurisdictions, there's less than accessible ways of getting that, and there seems to be sometimes people with disabilities that have talked to me have told me that they feel like they get resistance, or they get told that, well, you have to meet certain criteria to get the ballot in a mail-in fashion, and they almost feel like they have to jump through additional hurdles. And people with disabilities are used to having to overcome prejudice and systemic obstacles to get their needs met. But when they face that on something like voting, sometimes it can become very overwhelming, especially if their only other option is to show up on election day and wait in line for hours to get to the ballot. And that's even if their polling place is accessible. I hope that answers.